This is, I'm going to go through the packet here for Luckiest Time of All that you have to do in class. Starting with the first page, the reading warm-up B. So basically what you're doing is you're reading the story and you're answering the questions here off to the side. So what you need to do, it's pretty simple. Circle the words that indicate where the porch is. You would simply go over and then circle the words where you think porch is. So the young girl standing outside the house, you'd be circling that. It's not a very good circle. And then things like the man who had spoken to her sat in a rocker near the front door. These are words that kind of let you know what a porch is. Then it says, what is a porch? You could actually probably write it like right in here. What is a porch? That's fine. Or somewhere on your paper. Try to squeeze it in there because you don't have a back to write on. So that's fine if you do that. Okay, going on then to number 2. We'll go to the next page here, and then the next page, or I shouldn't say number 2, the next page. The next page is just a vocabulary builder. Let me get to that. And on the vocabulary builder, that's pretty simple too. You're just answering the questions. Number 1 says, are mountain climbers likely to use twine to attach themselves to each other while crossing a dangerous crevice? Why or why not? So you go and you look up the word twine, which I guess the key to know for this is those vocabulary words are in your story. You've already read the story. Those vocabulary words are off to the side. They're in the bold. They'll let you know what they mean. But make sure that you say, you know, I think they'd be likely to use twine, or they would not be likely to use twine, but then tell why, and make sure that reason has something to do with the definition of twine, or the definition of whichever word you are using. Towards the bottom of that page is just the word study with the prefix AC in AD. Okay. The next page after that is your rereading ahead to confirm meaning, and that's something we've talked about before. It's just with context clues, and just how sometimes you have to either reread or sometimes you have to read ahead quite a bit to kind of figure out what a word means. So in the directions it says, read each quotation from the luckiest time of all, figure out the meaning of the underlined word or expression by looking for context clues. Write the context clue or clues on the first 2 lines, and then write the meaning of the word or expression on the next line. So basically down here you're going to find your context clue. Write your context clue there, and then when you think you have the meaning of the word, write the meaning of the word there. Okay, pretty simple. The next page after that is the point of view page, and we've been doing a lot of work with point of view, so I'm hoping this one doesn't cause too much trouble for you. Let me find my point of view paper here. And that's right here. And it breaks it down at the top here. It talks about your first person and your third person, what that looks like. And we've talked about all that in class. Then the directions, it just says you have to take the numbered passage and you have to underline the pronouns that tell that the passage is in third person. If you remember the story we read before, you had to tell why it was in first person. This one you're telling why it's in third person. And then in the lines describe what you learned from the passage. So when it says T's great-grandmother shook her head and laughed out loud, what are you learning about maybe T's grandmother's personality? Things like that. And make sure that you underline the pronouns. Next page, hyperboles. Now hyperboles are a figure of speech. That's when you give a big exaggeration. We haven't talked about these in class too much, but it's like when you say, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. In these directions it says read each of the following descriptions. In the line before each one, write literal if the description is factual, and unexaggerated, write hyperbole if the example is exaggerated for effect. In other words, if what they're saying, if they're saying, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse, that's exaggerated. Nobody can eat a whole horse. So that's an exaggeration, so you would write hyperbole. But if they said, I'm so hungry, I could eat my whole meal tonight, that's not an exaggeration. That's literal. That's factual. And so that's why you would write literal on those types of lines. If you need more help with hyperboles, if you just do a quick YouTube search about what a hyperbole is, you'll probably get one of those little 2-minute videos pop up. That'll explain it. That'll make it much easier. Just think exaggeration. If it cannot happen, it's probably an hyperbole. The next one, or the last one, is the grammar. It talks about possessive nouns, and it basically just talks about how do you use the apostrophe S when you're using possessive nouns, whether it comes to a singular noun, a plural noun, and right up here, this is what you really want to pay attention to. Right, here's the rules for possessive nouns. Okay, make sure you pay attention to that. Once you read that a couple times and go over it, you should be fine going off on your own for that part of the worksheet. Okay, so I just wanted to go over each page, kind of what you're doing, so you kind of have an idea. That is all.